research. And I want to welcome all of you to the Academy of Distinguished Alumni and the members and also others in attendance. I wish we could all be together to celebrate our new class of 2020 and 2021. But until then, and we hope to be together in the fall, we'd like to recognize and celebrate our new members virtually. This evening, we'll be honoring aerospace engineering and engineering mechanics alumni who have impacted our society through their involvements in industry, government agencies, and education. I also want to note that we have a new degree program, COE, Computational Engineering, and in the future, we hope to be honoring distinguished COE alumni as well. You can see here our agenda for the evening. In a second, I'll show you a video of our new building for those of you who haven't seen it. And then I'll turn it over to Wally Fowler, who'll do the new member introductions. And then we'll have some closing remarks. And then for all of the new ADA members, we'd like for you to stay on and to stay on for I'm getting an echo. Okay. I'm still getting an echo.
Caldwell, turn off mute yourself, Caldwell.
Okay, great. As you know, campus has been mostly closed since March of last year, and we hope, if all goes according to plan, to gradually reopen campus over the summer and to be back in person in the fall. And at that time, we hope that everyone can visit our new aerospace engineering building. It was almost exactly 2 years ago that we celebrated the opening of the building. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I want to show a short video. Thanks, Esmerine. And I should also add, if you have fond memories of WRW, it's no more. WRW was torn down about a year ago, and in its place is the Gary Thomas Energy Engineering Building, which will be completed, I think, around in the fall of this year. Before turning it over to Wally Fowler, I'd like to thank all of our Academy of Distinguished Alumni board members who have served so far, including Professor Noel Clemens, who was instrumental in helping establish the Academy and held the induction of the inaugural class in 2019, as shown here. And now I'd like to turn it over to Professor Emeritus Wallace Fowler, President of the Academy, to introduce the new members. Wally?
Good evening. My name is Wallace Fowler, for those of you that I haven't had in a class or don't know me. And I'm the second and current president of the ASE Academy of Distinguished Alumni here at UT Austin. Unfortunately, the in-person recognition of our 2020 and 2021 classes has been delayed due to the pandemic. So tonight we will be recognizing these alumni and their accomplishments virtually until we can do so in person. Thank you all for joining us and enjoying this gala occasion as we honor our distinguished graduates. The Academy of Distinguished Alumni was established in 2019, one, to recognize and honor graduates of aerospace engineering, engineering mechanics, and hopefully computational engineering in the future, and two, to recognize and honor non-department graduates who are widely recognized as providing highly significant contributions to the ASEM department and its programs. Inductees have been provided outstanding technical contributions, have excelled in building and leading technical businesses, and have been active in improving our communities. By virtue of their accomplishments and their continued association with ASEM, our members will continue to positively enhance the reputation of ASEM at UT Austin. It is my great pleasure to introduce our newest members of the Academy this evening. I could easily spend 5 to 10 minutes describing the accomplishments of any one of tonight's inductees. But if I did that with 22 inductees, we'd have 2 to 3 hours of me talking, and none of us want that.
Oh, I think we've got Wally muted.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Wally, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you please start over again with the
Oh yeah.
a minute go a minute back, please.
Go a minute back, okay. Was I muted the whole time I was talking?
No, you were not.
Where was I?
If you'd like to start at let's see, the start of the induction we can just jump to the induction of the class of 2021 if you'd like to do that.
Okay, we can start. It's my great pleasure to introduce the members of the Academy this evening. I could easily spend 5 to 10 minutes describing the accomplishments of any one of tonight's inductees. But if I did that with 22 inductees, you would have 2 to 3 hours of me talking, and nobody wants that. The extended recognition of each inductee will hopefully come in our next in-person induction banquet. Instead, tonight, I will only do short summary introductions. We will distribute tonight's induction slides electronically, which summarize the accomplishments of each inductee. However, note that these slides do not fairly portray the many accomplishments of any of our inductees. I will announce each inductee, give his or her title, and will note 1 or 2 career highlights. In a few cases, I might have another remark, but I'll try to refrain from this as much as possible. After the 2021 and 2020 class inductions, I will introduce 3 2019 class inductees who were not able to attend our 2019 in-person induction ceremony. We eagerly look forward to a fall 2021 induction ceremony, COVID willing, at which our 2020 and 2021 inductees will be formally recognized again, hopefully without social distancing and without masks. Inductees, please forgive me if I mispronounce your name or make a mistake in citing your accomplishments. I will not read your degrees, although all of us are very proud of all of them, especially those degrees from ASEM at UT Austin. The following are the inductees of the ASEM Academy of Distinguished Alumni class of 2021. Our first inductee is Manley Butler. Manley Butler is president and founder of Butler Parachute Systems. Manley parlayed a senior design project into a company. He designed, fabricated, tested, and obtained FAA certification for a parachute backpack for sailplane pilots as his senior design project. Recently, he and his company developed the crew parachutes for the Spaceship One and Spaceship Two. Our second inductee is Stephen P. Pat Condon. Pat retired as a Major General, U.S. Air Force. Early in his Air Force career, Pat was involved in rendezvous analysis for Skylab and Apollo programs. He later managed logistical support for U.S. Air Force assets, both aircraft and ICBMs. After retirement, Pat led the Air Force Association as its national president and chairman of the board. Pat has also served on the NASA Advisory Council. Our next inductee is Steve DeLeon. Steve is senior partner at VP for engineering, Pecos Country Engineering and Exploration Company. Steve started out in aerospace. While at Lockheed Martin, he implemented over $1 billion worth of cost savings. He retired in 2012 on the Lockheed Martin senior staff in F-22 Mass Properties Group. After his aerospace activities, he founded the Pecos Country Energy and Exploration Company. Outside of the commercial sector, Steve co-founded Pi Sigma Pi and the Texas Alliance for Minorities in Engineering at both secondary and university levels. He remains a strong leader in advocating for minorities in engineering. Our next inductee is Lisa Guerra. Lisa currently is Senior Technical Advisor in the Office of the Administrator at NASA headquarters. Lisa has worn many hats at NASA. She worked on the James Webb Space Telescope, led planning teams, and then a few years ago, she returned to UT for 4 or 5 years to develop and teach senior space engineering systems design courses that have become an integral part of our aerospace engineering undergraduate program. I've used the materials she developed. They add tremendous value to the education that our aerospace engineering undergraduates receive. Lisa also serves as a current member of the ASE EM Advisory Committee. I'll take a short pause from introducing new members to explain the purpose of the ASE EM Advisory Committee, or EAC. Each department in UT's Cockrell School has an EAC. The EAC, or External Advisory Committee, consists of industry and government professionals who hold responsible engineering positions in industry or government laboratories. The Advisory Committee provides dialogue between students and practitioners of the profession. The committee also provides faculty members a means to learn about current industrial, business, and philosophical trends. It also provides an opportunity to inform industry about current academic issues. EAC members are often, but not always, department alumni. Now I'll return to introducing new members of the Academy. Our next inductee is GT Ju. GT is retired as General Manager of Deepwater Projects and Engineering at Shell International Exploration and Production. As the Perdido Subsea Project Delivery Manager, he led a mega project for deepwater production for Shell. Deepwater in this case is really, really deep, 9,000 feet. GT has been granted 3 patents based on this work. Our next inductee is Jill Myers. Jill is owner and CEO of Myers Aero Consulting LLC. Jill is an unflinching and unflagging advocate of women in aviation and aerospace engineering. She's worked in the areas of airborne warning and control, and even on the development of sonar for the Zumwalt stealth destroyer. Evidently, our aerospace skills extend even to ship design. Our next inductee is John Schmisser. John is H.H. Arnold Chair and Gothard Professor at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, another UT. John had a 23-year career at the Air Force Research Laboratory, retiring as the Chief of Energy, Power, and Propulsion Sciences Division and the Program Manager for Aerothermodynamics at the Air Force Office of Scientific Research. Subsequently, he was chosen to lead the UT University of Tennessee Space Institute back to national prominence. I have a problem talking about two UTs in the same sentence here. Our last 2021 inductee is Ken Young. Ken has worked both as a NASA engineer and for various contractors and is now retired. Ken led the planning and operations for the world's very first orbital rendezvous, Gemini 6A and Gemini 7 in 1965. Then later on in his career, about 1981, Ken was one of the two engineers who used then classified space assets to assure that the thermal tiles on the Space Shuttle Columbia were intact and would allow another one of our distinguished alumni, Bob Crippen, to return safely from orbit on the first Space Shuttle flight, STS-1. I will now introduce the 2020 Academy of Distinguished Alumni inductees. These alumni were elected last year, but due to the pandemic, they got no induction ceremony. Our first inductee is Richard Cook. Richard is Associate Director for Flight Projects and Mission Success at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Richard might qualify as one of our not so few Longhorn Martians. Richard led the operations for Mars Pathfinder and the Sojourner rover. Then he led development and operation for Spirit and Opportunity rovers and is currently working with the Mars Science Laboratory and the Curiosity rover. Our next inductee is George Davis. George is Chief Executive Officer for Emergent Space Technologies Incorporated. George founded Emergent Space Technologies over 20 years ago and has about 100 employees in 6 states. George is one of the most enthusiastic and loyal Longhorns I have ever met. George is a current member of the ASE External Advisory Committee. Our next inductee is Noboru Kikuchi. He's currently president of Toyota Central R&D Labs Incorporated. After receiving his PhD at UT in '79, Noboru taught in the ASEM department here at UT for a year before moving to the University of Michigan. He taught at Michigan until 2015, retiring as the Roger L. McCarthy Professor Emeritus of Mechanical Engineering. Noboru was elected as a foreign member of the U.S. National Academy of Engineering. Our next inductee is David Korsmeyer. Dave is Associate Center Director for Research and Technology at the NASA Ames Research Center. Among his other activities, Dave led the efforts to develop and fly 2 lunar missions and over 30 nanosatellites. In addition, several years ago, Dave helped me develop a UT capstone senior design project based on a variation of one of his Ames nanosatellites. Dave is currently the chair of the ASEM External Advisory Committee. Our next inductee is Peter Ledelec, Professor Polytechnique de Paris in France. Pardon my French. I don't have any. I only took Spanish. Patrick is the professor and laboratory director at the University Paris Dauphine and École Polytechnique. While serving as vice president for education there, he also finds time to serve as a scientific advisor for various high-tech companies, including Michelin and Dassault Aviation. He is also a scientific advisor for the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission. Our next inductee is Paul Lockhart. Paul is Director of Engineering at PEMDAS Technologies and Innovations. Paul has flown many U.S. Air Force aircraft, including the T-33, our first jet trainer, through the F-4 and the F-16, both as an operational pilot and as a test pilot. He then became a NASA astronaut, flying twice to the International Space Station. Paul is a past chair of the ASEM External Advisory Committee. Paul's wife, Mary Lockhart, is president and CEO of PEMDAS and is a current member of the ASEM External Advisory Committee. Our next inductee is Jerry McDowell. Jerry retired as Deputy Director, External Vice President for National Security Programs at the Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque. I knew Jerry through all of his BS, MS, and PhD programs here at UT Austin. Jerry has done many things of vital national importance during his career at Sandia, and probably can tell us very little about any of them because of their security classifications. Jerry is a past member of the ASE External Advisory Committee. Our next inductee is Brendan O'Connor. Brendan was Vice President of Advanced Vice President for Advanced Programs at Emergent Space Technologies Incorporated. Brendan was the head of Emergent's Austin operations, and until his untimely death in September 2020, several months after being chosen for membership in our academy, excuse me, Brendan was one of the unlucky few who died from lung cancer, having never smoked. He was a good friend and a brilliant engineer. I had lunch with him a few days before the COVID lockdown in March 2020. I still miss him. Our next inductee is Tinsley Oden, Professor of Aerospace Engineering and Engineering Mechanics, Professor of Mathematics, and Professor of Computer Science here at UT Austin. I'd hate to have his business card. Tinsley is our Academy of Distinguished Alumni's second honorary member. This membership is awarded to a non-UT graduate who has made tremendous contributions to our department and programs. Hans Mark was recognized in 2019 in first induction as our first Academy honorary member. Tinsley's many accomplishments, both national and international, are outstanding. Recently, UT honored Tinsley by renaming its Institute for Computational Engineering and Sciences as the Oden Institute for Computational Engineering and Sciences. Our next inductee is Susan Oates. Susan has just recently retired as Vice President F-16, Japan F-2, and the F-21 programs at Lockheed Martin. Susan has worn many hats at Lockheed Martin, improving wind tunnel operations, working with missile flight tests at White Sands, and leading a team to facilitate F-35 production in Japan. I'm sure that Lockheed Martin hated to see her retire. Susan is a past member of the ASE External Advisory Committee. Our last 2020 inductee is Dick Perkins. Dick is co-founder of Cox & Perkins Exploration Incorporated. He's now retired. Dick is one of those longhorns who show us that we can do more than aerospace engineering. He co-founded a very successful oil and gas firm, and since his retirement, has been a very strong supporter of ASE student projects. Pre-COVID, when we had department picnics, Dick was always there. This completes the introduction of the 2020 ASE Academy of Distinguished Alumni class. I now want to introduce the three members of the 2019 class who were not able